All My Chauldron. Old Mr. Volley had been fishing by the banks of the Els River as long as anyone could remember. He had a knack for landing catches no angler could rival. Even so, the river was small, as was the pool of available fish. A.W. Dry acted upon the urge for broadening horizons almost before Mr. Volley could make the admission. In no time at all, a beautiful little boat had been put together. "I am certain," Mr. Dry proudly proclaimed, "that with this vessel you shall make thrilling new discoveries." Mr. Volley certainly never bargained for what he saw as he sailed around the coast. Making its way along the headland was a strange little steam engine. She puffed past the hordes of workmen toiling to make the desired progress. She was dwarfed by the wagons she pushed about, but her whistle conveyed a sense of pride in her work, even out across the water. "Strange thing, that," Mr. Volley mused, his stare lingering longer than it should have. Perhaps he was absorbing what he saw as best as he could, for it would soon be winter, the waters unfit for his little boat. Ethel knew nothing of the perplexed Mr. Volley. She was far too busy keeping both workmen and wagons in line. "Missed a pile of rubble there, Davies," she smiled, giving a sharp whistle. "Whatever is that horrible sound?" a wagon moaned. "Sounds like the kettle's overboiled," another one shouted in its gravelly tone. A chorus of cackles spread down the line. Even the workmen couldn't resist laughing. "Rotten, rickety rascals!" Ethel fumed in her shed. "Why do we even bother with those children wagons, you called them, Mr. Hatt?" "Chauldrons, Ethel," Topham corrected, "though they certainly are acting below their age. Better suited for shifting coal. I reckon their new role as waste wagons is the source of their unruliness. A pity the men seem to have taken up that quality." "I'll give them something to be unruly about," Ethel muttered darkly. "You won't," Topham firmly scolded, "unless you wish to incur the wrath of Mr. Dry and the mining company. I certainly don't." "I'm sorry, sir," she sighed. "It's just the teasing, and that name they call me." "I know," Topham interrupted, patting her running board. "I don't fancy it either, but they'll learn their lesson, and you won't even have to turn a wheel. Keep your composure. The sooner we finish the line, the sooner you'll be rid of them." The arrival of winter did nothing to put the bad feelings on ice. Bundled in scarves and jackets, the men silently went about their work, eager to be out of the cold. Meanwhile, the Chauldrons grumbled enough for everyone. "Must be tea time," the lead wagon groused. "Here's the kettle." Ethel gritted her teeth as the other wagons cackled. "Couldn't we get a real engine?" it continued. "You're just a heap of parts. Did they bring you to life by magic?" "No," Ethel grunted, "though I'd like to make you disappear." "Ooh, peevish little thing, aren't you? Take heed, chaps, she's boiling over." Day in and day out, Ethel endured ceaseless taunting from the Chauldrons. She could hear their wicked laughter even when tucked away in her shed. Thoughts of retaliation grew sweeter and sweeter, but she remained composed. "Mr. Hatt taught me better," she told herself. "I mustn't let him down." The steadily declining temperature put her resolve to the test. She feared leaving the shelter of her shed each morning, chills stinging her frames the moment the winter winds touched them. Her warm boiler was the only saving grace, and Topham certainly welcomed the heat from her fire. The shifting weather signaled a change in the Chauldrons. Their teasing and tittering had turned into downright nastiness. "Hurry up, we're icing over back here," they barked. One morning, the temperature reached its lowest point yet. "Good morning," Ethel called flatly, trying to set a positive tone.
"It must be when you've been tucked away in a warm shed all night," said the lead wagon. "We've been stuck out in the elements."
Indignant shouts sounded all the way along the train.
"Suppose they have to pamper you," the lead Chauldron glared, "since you're held together with rusty bolts and wishes. Surprised you've lasted in this weather. A light breeze might blow you to pieces."
It was then that the dominoes fell. Ethel gave a sharp pull. The Chauldrons cried in surprise. The lead wagon groaned in agony, wobbling and bumping. There was a crack, snap, and bang. Then everything fell silent. The Chauldron lay on its side, whimpering. It was gazing at a wheel, which it was once firmly attached to, now cracked and collecting snowflakes.
"How?" stuttered a wagon. "How did you do that?"
"I didn't," Ethel hastily replied.
She is magic!"
gasped another wagon, and the rest began chattering nervously.
"Hatt," Mr. Dry said upon inspecting the scene, "this project is of the utmost importance. A single delay could set us back days of progress, weeks even. If your engine cannot pull things properly,
You will find, sir," Topham interrupted, kindly but firmly, "that Ethel is not at fault. These wagons have cast-iron wheels, which don't agree with winter temperatures. Ethel is a clever engine, but she cannot control the weather. What transpired here was bound to happen sooner or later."
"I see," Mr. Dry replied, softening. "Even so, I implore you to drive with caution until this weather passes. A crawling pace is still faster than patching up a blunder."
"Quite so, sir," Topham replied. "And what are we to do with this wagon?"
"Leave it where it is," Mr. Dry sighed. "There are plenty more at our disposal. We've no time for rescues now."
The Chauldrons were scared straight by the ordeal. New wagons soon joined them and were told the fable. Though skeptical, they didn't test Ethel and looked pityingly at their fallen comrade. Their doubts were all but squashed when they rolled past one morning and saw the derailed Chauldron was gone. Ethel was quite pleased with how easy her duties became. With great caution, and no ruckus from the wagons, she worked without mishap throughout the rest of the winter and into spring. "I suppose," she smirked, "this kettle has some magic in her after all."